Now that Halloween is over, I just want you guys to know how many bad puns that I weaved through. So I'm going to read the top 10 puns and just to give you an idea, a glimpse as to how many I had to skip over for my intros. Be ready cuz these are terrible. Trick or treat yourself. Orange you excited for Halloween. Give them pumpkin to talk about. I don't trust pumpkins. They're seedy. Creep it real. Hello, gorgeous. Eat, drink, and be scary. Life is gourd. Lift your spirits. Mummy of the year. Happy Halloween. Too cute to spook. I had read probably over 1,000 bad puns, and that's why my sanity's gone. What's going on, YouTube? So today we're going to be talking about the Gates of Oblivion event, and I already know the first question you're going to ask because I get it in the comments every single time. We do not have a confirmed date yet. However, based on some Crown Store items releasing, I'm going to guess November 16th. November 16th. If you comment below, hey Jake, what date's this going to come out? I'm going to say I have no clue. I'm completely clueless. Please don't ask me again or I'll cry. So, the Gates of Oblivion event is going to come around middle of November, likely November 16th, and there's a lot of good things that go along with it. We're going to kind of hit those highlights in this video for you. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I don't know why my character's facing away from us. Don't question it. And let's jump into it. Shout out to this website creator who also has a video linked, which I will put in the description below, MMGAH. But they give us the juicy details that we want to talk about in this video. So it starts as every other quest does. You go to the Crown Store. It takes you, to go do some things. But really, we can start to see here that this is going to focus on some key areas, which is Blackwood, which includes the Rockgrove Trial, the Deadlands, which includes Fargrave and the Deadlands, the Flames of Ambitions DLC, which includes Cauldron, Black Drake Villa, and Waking Flame, which is Dreadcellar and Red Petal Bastion. Those are some juicy places to farm. There is a lot of really good zones to farm there, and there's a lot of really good dungeons to farm. So I'm excited to see and kind of break that down with you guys. But we'll go through just a general overview real quick. Reward boxes. This year you can get 2 glorious reward boxes and a whole bunch of purple boxes. The boxes are divided into 2 categories: zone boxes, dungeon boxes. You can probably guess which one drops from which thing. Zone boxes are found by completing daily quests in their retrospective zones. That's killing random enemies, delve, and world bosses, dungeon bosses, oblivion portals, and the final chest, treasure chest, safe boxes, resource nodes, pickpocketing NPCs. All are going to be able to give those. The first zone box each day from a delve or world boss daily is going to be gold quality. And the first final boss of any of the 4 dungeons will offer that same retrospective type, and therefore you can have 2. So you can do 2 gold boxes a day, and then it goes into... I'm going to skip this real quick and just go to event tickets because that's always a hot button question. You can get 2 event tickets, and you only have to do 1 of the following things. So you don't have to do 2. You can do 2 to get 2 gold boxes. You can do, a delve and a dungeon boss, but more importantly, you do 1 and you get your 2 event tickets, which is how many you're going to get per day, which can be completing that delve or world boss quest in Blackwood, doing the same thing in the Deadlands, completing the weekly trial quest for Rockgrove, and killing and looting the final boss of the event dungeons. So that's going to be how you get your boxes. And again, and your event tickets, you only have to do 1 of those 4 things to get your 2 tickets. And on to the juiciness, which is the rewards. So from opening these boxes, you're going to get crafting materials, always great. Sellable treasures, those are just things that have like a fixed rate of gold that you can sell to a vendor. Style items to the Gates of Oblivion, Overland, or Dungeon Zone motifs. And I just want to note too, both the set and the style items sell for a decent click of money. We're going to kind of go through them at the end though, and focus on like the dungeons and the zones and which ones have good sets for you to farm. So just be a little patient for that. We'll get there. Companion gear, which is selling like a hotcake right now with update 40, either released if you play on PC, like one of those hooligans, or if you're a console player like I am and you have to wait for everything. Unfortunately, the economy for companion gear is not as hot, but it will be in just 2 weeks. Furnishing recipes. The furnishing recipes from the Gates of Oblivion area are great. The Leyawiin area plans are definitely the highlight. Now, there's going to be some other more Daedric-y type plans. Those don't sell as well, but those Leyawiin ones, they'll change you. Treasure maps, always good to keep an eye out for. I think I'm going to do an updated treasure map video, likely Thursday or Saturday, just because I think it's always a good time to highlight how treasure maps work, why certain treasure maps are so much more valuable than others. Motif chapters for Gates of Oblivion, so there'll be a new little style, and then pages for the actual outfit style, and we talked about that. This is also going to be able to get you the bear, the big boy, and you can see the actual Imprezzo pieces, the Imprezzo assistant. These are going to be the Indrakes that are available, and that's going to wrap up that. So now we can look specifically at the areas highlighted during this event and go kind of piece by piece and go, what's the best thing to do? Do I want to farm Blackwood or Fargrave? Do I want to farm, this dungeon or that dungeon? Let's talk about that now. What's interesting when you compare Blackwood and Fargrave, they both have really good sets. Notably, both Frostbite and Deadlands Assassin sell for a decent click of money. Unfortunately, Bog Raider, not so much. But what's interesting, though, is that while these sets are probably going to lose value, if you're interested in a set, and unfortunately I'm kind of blocking it here, but I'll read it out to you because I can, still have that ability. My eyes haven't gone too far. Increase your damage done with frost abilities by 8%. Increase your damage done against chilled enemies by 4%. Increase your damage done against enemies with minor brittle by 2%. And the Deadlands Assassin is one of those longins. Dealing damage to an enemy within 10 meters with a heavy attack causes you to throw a cone of knives, dealing 3,572 physical damage to enemies hit. If an enemy is hit has 50% or less, they take an additional 6,818 bleed damage over 14 seconds. This can occur every 15 seconds and scales off your weapon or spell damage. It's a good set. Comparing that to the Deadlands, now, I will note that at one point, the developers were like, you know what, fellas? We're going to give out most of these sets for free. So they at one point were exceptionally easy to get. However, sets like Hexos are being really pumped out and suggested for your Endless Archive builds. So I think that when you have kind of like, yes, a lot of people might have this, but also do people want to reconstruct stuff with transmute crystals? People probably weren't saving the set. So because of that, you're still going to be able to make a pretty click of money for this set, in my opinion, or you're going to be able to utilize it for yourself. Kindmark's Cruelty is on the same boat where it's a good set, but most people already have it. However, most people still probably want it in a good trait, which is probably going to be things like Impen, Divines, maybe, reinforced depending on the type of piece that you get. If you get one of those chunky pieces, maybe one of those, maybe some well-fitted, depending on the pieces that you get, but just things to consider. Those are more of your PvP-esque traits. And the reason why is people don't want to waste 25 transmute crystals if they can avoid it. Now, what does Hexos Ward do? It's actually not that long and won't cause me to lose my breath. Dealing direct damage grants you a damage shield that absorbs up to 11,161 damage for 6 seconds, and that can occur every 7 seconds. And then Kindmark's Cruelty, which is a little bit wackier. When you deal direct damage, you apply 1 of 5 random major debuffs to enemies within 8 meters of you for 18 seconds. This can occur every 8 seconds, and only if an enemy is in range. Eligible debuffs are Major Breach, Major Cowardice, Major Defile, Major Maim, and Major Vulnerability. Now, not all dungeons are created equal, so we're going to kind of go through these super quickly. For the Dread Cellar, Magma Incarnate is a monster set that you want to have. And Crimson Oath, I would say, is a slept-on tank set. Maybe not slept on because a lot of people know about it, but it's definitely worth farming if you're interested in the tanking life. Not necessarily something for me, but if you're looking at getting into tanking, it could be one that you want to have kind of in the actual, back burner for you in your inventory. Next up, we have Black Drake Villa, which definitely has the juice. It's got the juiciest rewards. Now, Kinross is the number one go-to. Most people utilize Kinross. That's one of the more notable PvE parsing sets, PvE trial sets. that generally it's still highly suggested for a lot of types of content. True Sworn, I think, is actually a really cool set, though, too, that I think a lot of people sleep on. I think that there's quite a significant utilization for stuff like this. If you are interested in making like glass cannon builds, where you're keeping your health below a specific measurement, you being a stage 4 vampire, but also even Drake's Rush is pretty good for 4-man tanking content. Unfortunately, it's not going to see real utilization in trials because it only gives us the 3 members, and the DPS buff is not super high when you consider, how much damage ultimates are doing. And in a trial where there's, more than 3 people that need that buff. But it's still a great set for that 4-person type content, so it's definitely worth farming. Black Drake Villa is definitely the place to farm if you're interested in some really good dungeon sets. The main juice, I would say, though, for this little event is going to be Rock Grove. I think Psy is a great set. Saxeel's Champion is another great set. Obviously, the perfected version is also good, too. Stone Talkers is probably one of the weaker sets here. But Soulzans is also a pretty good set to kind of round out everything kind of together for you. I would highly encourage you guys to farm Rock Grove. The new dungeon trial group finder feature will be out, so it'll be easier to find groups, specific to, hey, does anyone want to go farm this with me? Hey, you guys want to create a little open group, get some people together? Definitely also, too, Craglorn is going to be filled with people who want to farm dungeons, trials, and such. And definitely the rewards are going to make it worth doing so because you're going to get other events and rewards, too. I will say there are some frustrating components. Rock Grove notably just has those mechanics that I generally dislike, and I personally am not a fan of when you can't overburn a boss, you can't kill them too quickly, or you get penalized. I don't generally like mechanics like that. I think you should be able to burn the boss as fast as possible and not be punished for doing so. And some of those mechanics can kind of come into play, unfortunately, in Rock Grove. But it's a fun trial. Someone who's farmed it many a times when Rock Grove first was released, and people were still kind of coordinating, figuring out all the little nitty gritty pieces of it. It's just overall a pretty fun trial with some interesting moments that'll happen. So I could encourage you guys to go do it and definitely keep those rewards, because that's the other piece. Whenever you farm a trial, 90% of the time you give away the pieces that you get, because you got a lot of fiends in there who are like, please, I need this Inferno staff. I'll trade my soul for it. So that is the unfortunate reality, but that's the nice thing. When there's so many people farming these, there's a decent chance that people will get items and trade with each other. So overall, Gates of Oblivion will be a great event for you to optimize some of those PvE pieces of gear that you need. Notably, we talked about Psy. I think that's a great one to get, as well as the other Rock Grove ones. And also the main focus for grinding too will be Black Rose Prison. I think that's a great one. But also don't forget to pick up things like Magma Incarnate. It's a great set. A lot of people will be farming that dungeon. You might only need to do it once on Veteran just to get yourself the Monster Mask. And dear friends, that's going to wrap up the video. We are doing our 3 giveaway drawings in 12 hours from when I'm finishing recording. Can't promise how long it'll take from editing. All you have to do to enter is by leaving a like, being subscribed, and by listening for a random word be flashed upon the screen. Now, the beautiful thing about all of this is that even after the giveaway, at which I'll do the drawing at noon on the 2nd of November, every entry, every subscription that you keep on the channel afterwards is just going to be entered into our November giveaway, because it's my way to give back my ad revenue to you guys, use it as a tax write-off to cheat the IRS, and we all win in the end. So thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys.
Better remember to like and subscribe to Jake Clips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.
I did also get a comment on a video, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it super quick because people asked what build I'm using. And I'm using the Master's Perfected Daggers with Vatestrand Ice, with the Marsalok Mask, One Piece Druid, as well as Dragon's Appetite, with the Sea Serpent's Coil. If you guys want more of like an in-depth breakdown, also a piece of train he's thrown on there for a little razzle-dazzle of health, you guys want a full breakdown on this, I would also encourage you guys not to use Bewitched Sugar Skulls. It's just my cheap butt food, but you can also utilize the goodness as well, which is the Artam takeaway broths, but they cost perfect row. But if you use this, you'll almost never run out of your resources in a PvP fight. It is the new kind of like, oh, you know, the meta type PvP build outlet. Unfortunately, my race is not the most conducive with this build, but it's a fun one to try. It kind of uses stamina mostly, which is certainly interesting, unique play style for me. So I hope that answers that question. Be answering the treasure map question here soon, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.